Hello, and welcome to the next edition of the HP Discover podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Interarbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on IT innovation and how it's making an impact on people's lives. Our next storage management innovation case study highlights how communications cooperative HTC centralizes storage management to gain powerful visibility, reduce storage costs, and implement IT disaster avoidance capabilities. We'll learn more about how HTC has lowered total storage utilization costs while bringing a common management view into play to improve problem resolution, automate resources allocation, and more fully to gain better compliance and set the stage for broader virtualization benefits. To learn how HTC is gaining better total storage management, please join me now in welcoming our guest. We're here with Philip Sellers, Senior Systems Administrator at HTC in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Welcome, Philip.
Good morning, Dana. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Well, tell us a little bit about HTC before we get into your storage management journey. What kind of company are you? And let our viewers understand the types of requirements your organization has.
Absolutely. HTC is the largest telephone cooperative in the nation. We serve the Myrtle Beach and surrounding South Carolina area. We started out as a telephone company, but at this point we're a full-line telecommunications company doing cable TV, internet, security, home automation, and through a partnership with AT&T, we also do wireless service.
Now, you're not the HTC, the handset maker from Asia. You're an entirely different company.
Yeah, completely different company, although we do sell a few of those handsets with our wireless division. So.
Well, very good. So tell us a little bit about where you were with storage. You told me when we talked earlier you're a reluctant storage administrator, that you started out as a VMware and virtualization admin. How did you get from one to the other, and why is that important for your organization?
Well, it's probably a common story in a lot of shops. As VMware became more prolific in our environment, the lines started to blur between networking and VMware and storage and VMware. And so I was pulled more into those directions as the primary VMware admin for our company. And so that gave me the opportunity to kind of dig in and start to learn a whole new area of IT that was new to me.
Tell us a little bit, Philip, about the scale. How many VMs, how many employees, what sort of a size organization are you?
So we've probably got around 700 or so employees at this point. Almost that number of VMs that we're managing also. We've got a couple different storage platforms today with the HP EVA and the HP 3PAR StoreServe in-house. We also use lots of other things. So we've got Store Once for backup, and we've also got Store Virtual for some of our smaller needs in remote offices and that sort of thing.
Now, what kind of storage workloads are we dealing with here? Is this all of the apps across the company? Is this your cable organization, or what set of IT workloads are you addressing?
So the group that I'm a part of is actually the internal IT group. So we're running line of business applications. So not the things that our customers are delivered service across, but the things that run our business to take orders and support financial operations and those sorts of things. And we're running a mixture of test and dev and production. It's one of the great benefits we've realized with VMware is the ability to have a good test and development platform to mirror what we've got in production. So it kind of runs the gambit for internal IT.
Now, when you start to think about progressing to a better utilization and a rationalization of storage, rather than have overlapping or disjointed storage capabilities, what sort of a philosophy do you have about storage? How do you think that you can make the whole greater than the sum of the parts and get those utilization benefits over time?
Well, it's kind of a thing that I learned back in my virtualization days. For me, it's huge to have visibility in what's going on in your storage. That's one of the huge benefits of our transition to 3PAR storage that we have been able to realize is much deeper levels of insight into what's going on inside of the arrays. As we were making that switch, we evaluated other third parties and stuff, ultimately deciding on the mid-range 7000 series 3-par for our environment and for our needs. And that visibility has been key for us. But it's also come with a set of challenges because we now have multiple storage consoles that we need to manage from. We have different places that we need to check. And so one of the keys for us is having somewhere where we can kind of see it all or get a better idea of the entire environment from an end-to-end perspective. That's one of the things we learned from our VMware days. We were kind of flying blind early on, and that caused us problems and potential problems because we didn't know something was going on. So that's kind of one of our main goals, is establishing good visibility into our storage environment.
So it's not just enough to modernize your storage, improve your storage capabilities and that utilization rate, but at the same time, concurrently, you really need to address the management issues and consolidate management. In doing so, what have been some of the payoffs that you can recall? How has this helped your organization better provide IT services internally?
Well, from a performance standpoint, our former primary storage platform was not great at telling us how close we were to the edge of our performance capabilities. And, we never knew exactly what was going to cause a problem, or the unpredictability of virtual workloads in particular. We never knew where we were going to have issues. So being able to kind of see into that has allowed us to prevent help desk calls for slow services, for problems that maybe we didn't even know were going on initially. But one of the other huge benefits that we've realized is some level of disaster avoidance. So,
what do you mean by that? Rather than disaster recovery, which is taking care of business after you've had some terrible thing happen, how do you head that off?
Well, and that, I know that's not an industry term, but that's kind of what I like to call it, because in our environment we've got 2 data centers that are fairly close together. And so what we've implemented is the 3-par store serves Metro storage clustering feature, which they call pure persistence, but it's VMware's Metro storage clustering. We've now also done that with Windows clustering as well. And what it allows us to do is we've got 2 sets of 3-pars in different data centers, and they act as one. So they replicate synchronously between the 2 locations, and they fail over automatically. I don't know how else to say it. It just seamlessly fails over between the 2 sites. And so for our environment, we were at a particularly vulnerable state if we lost a data array, because so many things were pointing at it. Now, if we lose a single data array, it's not a big deal. It fails over and it continues running.
And when you say you're vulnerable, I think you're talking about hurricanes.
Hurricanes, or, a lot of times we plan for those large natural disasters, but sometimes it's the small ones that get us, like a UPS maintenance, or something as simple as a power outage and maybe your generator doesn't kick in time. I mean, sometimes it can be a disaster of the same scale as a hurricane almost to your business operations, just from something simple.
And so this storage management capability has provided automatically, as you say, this disaster avoidance. That's a pretty important metric. Do you have any idea of the value of that to your business? Maybe it's hard to put it in dollar terms. It seems to me a pretty profound difference.
Well, I can't necessarily put it into dollar terms. That's not the world that I work in. But I know that any time that there's downtime to our customer relationship advisors and the people in the field, that's bad for business. So we're avoiding those kinds of situations as best we can. We could lose an entire data center site, and with the technology built into the VMware layer and into the 3-par layer, it will come back up. It may be a reboot of a server, but we try to do everything we can to avoid disaster situations today, rather than just plan for, we need to fail this data center over to site B and go through all of that testing.
That's really interesting. All right, well, let's get down to some more brass tacks, though, on actual storage utilization benefits. Your move to 3-par, any thoughts or recollections about what this means in terms of utilization? No more worries about running out of storage space or capacity?
Yeah, the 3PAR platform has been really great inside of our environment because we realized kind of the marketing term of the 2-to-1 thin provisioning. We're seeing that benefit. I think when I looked at the console before I came here to HP Discover, we were seeing around a 2.3-to-1 compaction, and that's without deduplication and some of the other newer technologies that are capable in the 3PAR platform. So we may be able to realize better than that in the future.
Okay, so we've talked about disaster avoidance. We've recognized some significant savings in the provisioning and utilization. Let's go back to management. What sort of benefits are you getting now with a more holistic approach, and how does that help perhaps on a data lifecycle basis?
So one of the ways that we're kind of approaching that set of problems is with a storage resource management software. We have traditionally used a piece of software called Storage Essentials, which HP makes, and it's a heterogeneous storage management software. So it can look at all of our different arrays, and so it looks at our backup arrays and our primary storage arrays, as well as our backup environment, and kind of pulls that information together. We've been able to leverage that from a reporting standpoint to be able to view and kind of pinpoint, growth or see how things are running from a dashboard sort of view. And over the last 6 months or so, I've been working in an early release program for a product that they're announcing this week here at Discover called Storage Operations Management. And this software is the next iteration of Storage Essentials, and so it's got a much more approachable and modern user interface, which kind of brings up and aggregates our total environment so that we can kind of get a full picture of what's going on there. And then we can drill down and kind of see at specific levels how are things performing, or what's our utilization trends, or how much time do we have until a device or a storage pool is full. And so those are things that keep us out of the really dangerous situations, like getting down to a time where you are in a mission critical season, maybe the holidays or something, where it's heavy sales and you run out of disk space and you can't get your procurement cycle to get in storage quickly enough. Those things are just as dangerous as the hurricane we were talking about earlier from a business operations perspective. So tools like this help us to kind of manage and see what's going on in the environment and help us plan and react ahead of time proactively.
Well, I can certainly see why your philosophy is visibility and management oversight. It comes back again and again as a huge multiplier benefit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you're flying blind in something, what's the saying? Ignorance is bliss. And that's true until it catches up with you, and it eventually always catches up with you. One of the great things that we're seeing is we've got lots and lots of room to grow and capabilities with where we're at today. This new version of the storage resource management product has got lots of great potential too. It's an initial release, and so it's got somewhat limited support for different storage families and that kind of thing, but they're working to bring in additional support and make it all that the previous product was and much more. And that's visible from the initial release. So we're kind of excited about seeing where that can help us, particularly because one of the switches in this new product is that it's not just a collect and analyze reporting sort of system. It's a dashboarding system where it takes that analytics and brings it back to a dashboard to let you drill down into it and see it real clearly in near real time. I won't say in real time, but within whatever amount of time you kind of configure.
Well, great. How about your future business activities and how well you can support them? I know that media is a fast-changing business. Do you feel confident now that whatever your superiors in your organization come to you and say, we need this, that you're in a better position to hop to quickly? Is there a sense of confidence that you can take on market change better?
I certainly believe so. We've been able to adapt and change more quickly because of changes that we've made with VMware, with 3PAR. We feel confident that we have room to grow and that we can do so in shorter terms. We've been able to try and look at new things like VDI deployments and stuff to help us with compliance type issues, where we're under regulations and have to patch and have to ensure that our systems are secure. And so we're looking at things like that now that we were afraid to put onto primary storage in the past. So, it is something where we think we've got a good mix today for the future.
Good. Tell us, if you would, what you might provide for advice to others who would be approaching a disparate storage environment, maybe shares your philosophy about visibility and anticipation is better than reaction. Maybe they're seeking also disaster avoidance rather than disaster recovery. For those folks that are not quite as far along in this journey as you are, what might you suggest for them to be thinking about or do that you wish you knew about earlier?
Well, I would say that there's definitely some low-hanging fruit, and that's what visibility will bring to you, is the ability to handle some of that low-hanging fruit. If you've got a situation where your storage team is siloed away from your server team, bringing something in that can look and see both of those sides and map together that whole environment is a real easy way to identify inefficiencies. So LUNs that maybe are provisioned but not in use, there's no I/O on, that's a dollar amount immediately reclaimed. Finding VMs and things with visibility, these tools can look into the VMware environment and you can see, okay, well, you've got lots and lots of VMs that are shut down. There's easy things that you can do to kind of start that process, no matter what your storage platform is. And I think that's a universal thing. If you've got something that can gain you visibility into the environment, there's some easy things and easy wins that you can bring back.
And those, of course, provide, grist for the mill of further improvements and further budget to accomplish even more.
Absolutely. So, if you want to make a storage platform switch, or if you want to do other improvements and gain more efficiency, this gives you a little bit of extra room, some wiggle room to kind of make those things reality. Because the truth is, we spend an awful lot amount of our budgets just in keeping the lights on and keeping things up and running. And anytime you can gain some wiggle room from that budget, it certainly allows you the ability to look at innovation.
Great. Well, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been learning about how HTC centralizes storage management to gain powerful visibility, reduce storage costs, and implement a disaster avoidance capability. And we've heard why bringing a common management view into play improves problem resolution and automates resource allocation more fully, and therefore gaining better compliance and setting the stage for broader virtualization benefits. So join me in thanking our guest. We've been here with Philip Sellers, Senior Systems Administrator at HTC in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Dana.
And I'd like to thank our audience as well for joining us for this Data and Information Governance Innovation Case Study discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of HP-sponsored discussions. Thanks again for listening, and come back next time.